often receive criticism that if femininity were something innate to womanhood, then there wouldn't be a reason. It doesn't matter whether you have so many cosmetic procedures if you don't have the foundation. Because, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, society is cruel and not kind. Anyway, we're not going on a tangent of that today. Many people like to confuse being a traditional feminine woman with being immature and naive. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. I am so happy to be filming again, and it only took about a year to get my baby to consistently nap without me next to her or holding her. So today is a big win, and hopefully, finally, I know I've been saying this over the past couple months, but I will be able to put out content more consistently. My goal is 2 videos a week, so we will see how that goes. Today we're going to be talking about how to be consistently feminine. Now, I often receive criticism that if femininity were something innate to womanhood, then there wouldn't be a reason for these YouTube videos for other women teaching women how to be feminine. But if you're a longtime subscriber to the channel, you know that society definitely beats femininity out of women. And now that I have my own daughter, I can uniquely see that womanhood and girlhood is something that we are all born with. I understand to a certain degree we all have different levels of feminine expression and different flavors of femininity, so to speak, but our society truly does try to deprogram femininity out of us in order to capitalize on our labor, for example. So that being said, we need to get to a place where we can have a safe space to express our femininity and to kind of refuel or refill our cup when it comes to getting back to that innate state of femininity that helps us feel the most fulfilled and free despite the limitations of our modern society that does not value femininity. So this video is going to give you a few quick tips on how you can preserve your femininity, be more consistently feminine, show up in the world in feminine expression despite the challenges that are thrown your way, such as a job that you might have to go to that requires you to step into a more masculine role, or the trenches of early motherhood. Even though being mothering and nurturing is a very feminine quality, the fact that we do not raise our children in villages causes for us to have to take all these different types of roles on in our mothering process, and so the nurturing part of mothering kind of takes a back burner role sometimes when we are in the trenches, so to speak. Anyway, let's get into the first tip I have for you. And that is to set clear boundaries on what you want your femininity to look like. I've said this before, I've encouraged maybe drawing some diagrams or like finding Pinterest boards and vision boards that you can create for yourself. But if you don't have that time, just clearly sitting down with yourself with no distractions and asking yourself what kind of feminine woman you want to be. And you have to start talking to yourself in that role. For example, you have to tell yourself, I am the kind of feminine woman who, and fill in the blank. I am the kind of feminine woman who expresses herself through wearing dresses. It can be as simple as that or deeper. I am the kind of feminine woman who enjoys having people over and hosting parties where we can all connect. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the different flavors and expression of femininity, this is going to look different to you depending on the vision or the natural tendency you have with regards to your femininity. There are core pillars of femininity, which I talk about in my other content. I highly recommend my feminine playlist, but we do have freedom of expression. We don't have to be cookie cutter copies as to what we can focus on. And so this is going to give you a more holistic approach to your femininity because you're going to have a starting point, and then all the little details are going to surround that primary vision for yourself. For me, nurturing is something very important. Being a fun, carefree wife and mother is something that is important to me. So I'm going to fill my sentence, the second half of my sentence, with those things. And then everything else is going to fall into place. Taking my kids out for adventures, activities, being in nature, planning date nights with my husband, being sensual. This is going to let my imagination free flow and tap into my femininity because I have a core driving principle. The second thing that you absolutely have to focus on to be consistently feminine is your health. Eating from scratch, so clean ingredients, because I'm really cooking everything from scratch, has made more of a difference than I could have ever imagined in my health. I started off not necessarily like tracking calories or anything, but getting back into cooking from scratch has actually helped me shed some pounds while eating cookies, because I wasn't consuming all the seed oils and the extra, for lack of a better term, crap that goes into the food that we have, especially in North America. I also recently watched a Netflix show just on a whim about the microbiome, and I actually went to school for biology and I did my project in microbiology, so that's something that's very interesting to me, that the microbiome, so like everything you put in your body and the organisms that control your body, have a link to your mental health. And in order for you to express yourself in your femininity, you need the mental clarity and the capacity to do so. You want to operate at your optimal self. And again, going back to the concept of a modern society that beats femininity out of you, they don't care about your physical well-being being to its maximum potential, because modern society just views you essentially as a workhorse. And so keeping that in mind, you truly have to take ownership and responsibility of your health and understand that society is built against you and does not want you to be at your healthiest and thriving as a feminine woman. This also links to so many things, such as your cycle. Having healthy fertility, whether or not you want kids or not, is very important as a feminine woman, and I have harped on and on about this on my channel in the past, but you can go watch my old video on cycle syncing or watch other content on the topic as well. And I mentioned in one of my most recent videos that I had noticed the women who are full-time homemakers or housewives in the older generation, they tend to look a little bit more youthful, not because they have access to Botox and filler and all that kind of stuff. I've noticed in my own personal life, many of them are completely natural, and this is because they have been able to prioritize sleep and eating from scratch throughout their lives, which does pay off. So in order to look your best self femininely as well, to be able to physically present your features in their best form, it doesn't matter whether you have so many cosmetic procedures if you don't have the foundation of a healthy lifestyle. You need that first, and that is going to make the biggest difference. Next up, I want to talk about the rule of 3 and the principle of 80-20. I mentioned this in my first style video ever, but dressing with 80-20 in mind is going to help you consistently look more feminine. For example, balancing out classic pieces in your wardrobe with romantic pieces in your wardrobe in an 80-20 fashion, or androgynous clothing like 20% with 80% of a more feminine color, for example, or like a top that is frilly or has certain like flowers or feminine detail, or some jewelry, will help give you an overall feminine look. And you will be able to keep certain practical pieces like jeans by keeping this 80-20 principle in mind. The rule of 3 is also a similar concept. I like to use this for my beauty by focusing on 3 things on my face on an everyday basis. Foundation, because I have pale skin, so I have some like discoloration because I'm so pale, long story short. My face tends to be red. With lips and mascara, those 3 things I do no matter what. I could be extremely ill and I will still be doing those 3 things. This helps me remain consistently feminine because no matter what, I have those 3 things and I'm able to present myself feeling fresh, which helps, most importantly, me feel the best. And going off of beauty, to stay consistently feminine, I encourage you to recession-proof, or like I've mentioned, honestly 100 times on this channel, sustainably beautify your routine. You have seen in the past that I have bought like Chanel lipstick, all that kind of stuff, but those are little luxuries that I don't make a core part part of my beauty routine. Likewise, I do a lot of things at home manicures. Every week I do like a pedicure type of refresh of my feet at home. I do body scrubs at home. Anything that I can do at home, I do, because I sustainably keep them and I like recession proof my routine. I'm just using that terminology because I've noticed over the past couple of years, this terminology has become more mainstream, but I've always talking about beauty. I don't want circumstances or like even having to move. I don't carry a lot of products. I am focusing on having my wardrobe. You will see me wear a lot of the same things, not because of necessarily saving cost, but because I want to have a wardrobe that I can honestly pick an item out of, know that I will like it no matter what, and I can blindly do so. My goal is to get to a point where I just love everything in my beauty routine and everything in my closet, and I feel joy and freedom in that. I really feel as though it is a reflection of my femininity without feeling bogged down by extreme expenses or like taking so much energy to decide what I'm going to wear this month or this season. It reminds me a lot about a teacher I had in elementary school. Although her wardrobe was somewhat dated, she was so beautiful and confident because she wore feminine clothing that was tailored to her, that she loved throughout the years, and she felt confident in her body shape and the colors that look good on her. For me, although I do vary the colors that I wear, I'm between a light spring and a light summer because I have dark and cool undertones, and I am a soft dramatic in terms of my body shape, and that's the core foundation of my wardrobe, but I still include some variation. I'm able to consistently wear more dresses because I don't have an overwhelming amount of clothing in my closet, which for me, I found when I did have a lot of clothing, I would kind of just reach for something comfortable because it felt extremely overwhelming. Now I only keep things that usually complement my body shape and color season, and that I honestly can look at with joy and feel as though I look good in them. So lastly, I want to encourage you, in order to be consistently feminine, to force yourself to have feminine hobbies. This is so important because, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, society is cruel and not kind to that girlishness self that you have inside of you as a feminine woman. Society will really beat it out of you in order to conform to like the most easily malleable state that they can be. Anyway, we're not going on a tangent of that today. But back to what I was saying. So, many of us are in positions that we don't have the luxury to have our own feminine businesses, only work part-time, or have a lot of help raising our children. So we need to force ourselves to have feminine hobbies. This can include forms of exercise, sewing, baking. A lot of women enjoy bonding with animals. Spending time with animals is very therapeutic. For many people, they ride horses, taking care of dogs, having cats, crafting, scrapbooking is an old hobby that many people don't have anymore, but it used to be very big, and many of us grew up loving scrapbooking. For me, YouTube and social media is a hobby. I've been trying to spend less time just being on social media and more so creating, and not only being on there to watch like long form content that inspires me. But I digress. You need to have feminine hobbies because you need that decompress time. You need to play. Imagine yourself like a little girl. This does not mean you are immature. Many people like to confuse being a traditional feminine woman with being immature and naive, but that is not it. That is tapping back into, like I mentioned at the beginning, that core feminine element of yourself, understanding that you are a unique feminine woman and you are not like everybody else in the world. You have your own interests and passions, and so I highly recommend scheduling time to do so. Now that my kids are a little bit older and I'm not pregnant yet, I have made it a point every single week to bake something, to start up again with my social media. I talked about in my beauty goals how I wanted to get back into sewing. Haven't done that yet because I am also sort of imperfect. But forcing myself, getting a little bit of lack of sleep so that I can do those things for me has made so much more of a difference. That concludes today's video. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Go through my other femininity videos if you are not done with the inspiration and you want to keep going. Leave your comments down below. How do you stay consistently feminine in a world that tries to beat the femininity out of you? And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.